Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Silent Hill 2 Remake. So, got a bit of a chonker part because the game kind of just plops you in the town and expects you to figure stuff out at this point.
It does kind of, yeah. One of the things that I will say that I like about Silent Hill 2 Remake versus the original is that the navigational complexity is much stronger here. In fact, I would say that, like, the big key locations, like the apartment and the hospital, have been upgraded from just being survival horror locations to full-on dungeon crawls, which, your mileage may vary, but it varies in a very positive direction for me. So,
Is that
I,
your health item in the game, the nutrition supplement?
yeah.
And various syringes, yes.
That looks nasty as hell. Why would you ever drink that?
Because James has no survival instinct, so.
You don't remember the health drinks from our Silent Hill 1 commentary, Ted?
Not really. No,
How
but
dare you forget details from commentaries we did literal years ago?
it was also probably like a chunky PS1 polygon, so I could suspend my disbelief a little bit more.
Okay, so our first enemy is a feminine figure in a body bag.
Is this symbolism that James killed his wife?
I mean, yeah, but.
All right, commentary's over.
I was like,
The game's 20 years old.
I was like trying to figure out, was that a shot in the dark, or do you already know the story, or what?
Listen, I don't know the actual plot of this game.
It's
I know,
likely, I chalk it up to osmosis because the game is over 20 years old. Ryan's right.
I know that James has some fucked up stuff going on with his wife, but that's all that I knew. But listen, I'm just gonna say this is why you ask why the curtains are blue, folks. All right, for this mind-boggling literary analysis right here.
Anyway, as in the original, our main method of combat for the first leg of the game is beating things to death with a wooden board with a nail in it. The improvement here is that the actual combat system is, actually kind of good, as opposed to the original where.
Okay, James, you absolutely, definitely do not stab yourself with a syringe you found in a dirty, broken down apartment. What the hell's wrong with this man?
That is by far not the most unsanitary thing James does to himself in this game, or the original.
What the hell is wrong with this man?
He doesn't care, that's the point.
Just wait until he gets to a certain toilet later in the game. There's a key item in the toilet. I don't know how he knows that there's a key item in the toilet, because you can't see anything in that muck. In goes the arm, though.
And then that little scene is so infamous, Silent Hill 3 calls the player out for doing it.
It's actually a scene that only appears if you have... In Silent Hill 3, there are a couple scenes that appear if you have Silent Hill 2 save data on your memory card. And that is one of them.
This reminds me of when I was playing Stardew Valley, right? And then, like any other video game, I rifle through the trash because there might be stuff in there. And then Leia, who I'm trying to date, comes over and she's like, "What are you doing rifling through the garbage?" And I'm like, "No, babe, wait, I can explain. It's not weird. Trust me."
Yeah, you have to be sure that no one is watching when you go checking the trash cans. That's why I do it first thing in the morning when everyone is in bed.
Man,
Linus, take
just
notes.
It's just one of those things when video games call you out on doing the deranged stuff you do in games that you would never do in real life. It's just like, no, wait, please. It's not weird. I'm normal. I'm normal.
There are a couple RPGs, indie RPGs, that do this thing where, like one of the earliest houses in the game will have an NPC in it, and it will have something like in their dresser that you can pick up. And the NPC will be like, "You can't just search my house and take my stuff." I'm just kidding. Go ahead, help yourself.
I was playing the Persona 5 mobile game, and you can search through the trash in a side mission there, and the game absolutely calls you out for doing so by your friendly mascot character. By the time you're doing it for like the fourth time, he just kind of goes like, "Fine, just get it over with. I know you're going to do it anyway."
So are glowing red stuff your save points in this game?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be something that you're staring into, like, that makes your head go all fuzzy.
So, like, I noticed that with the well, like, he was looking into his reflection in the well water. but like the last two have just kind of been squares, so I was a little confused.
No, they're always squares. There was a square in the well as well.
Okay.
It's like a weird luminescent red paper. I don't know what it's for or what it's supposed to symbolize, or what was going through their heads when they decided this would be the shape our save points take. It's a lot more vague and non-traditional compared to the notepads that you would write down your experiences on in the first game. But this is apparently the flavor of save point that they decided to go with from this point forward, because Silent Hill 3 does something very similar. Although you do find the notepad save points from Silent Hill 1 later on in the game, and you can read Harry's thoughts from those points in the game on the notepads, which is cool.
Okay, so one thing I would like to point out, this game is extremely technically impressive. I just want to point out, how hard it must be to have to create a game, and make good graphics for a location that just looks like absolute fucking dog shit. This place looks like the worst place ever to be in, but in a good, impressive way. Everything, looks run down, but, very realistically. I don't know if I'm making sense. I don't want to call the game pretty, because it's not, because the aesthetics is definitely of this place fucking sucks, why are you here? But it's all, very detailed. I like it.
Yeah, they put a lot of effort into the environmental design, and I appreciate that, considering that was one of the game's strengths back in the PS2 days.
Yeah. A lot of these details are just, higher fidelity expanded upon versions of the same details from the original game. Silent Hill on PS2 did, in fact, look very much like this.
Did the original game, in terms of changes to the structure of the game, I know that there was a lot of changes to combat, and you mentioned the puzzles, but, in terms of story and world design, is that mostly the same from the original?
Story is mostly the same. I would say that world design is more intricate. For one thing, there are more of these little buildings that you can go inside. So it has a bit of influence from Downpour in there, which, just a bit of influence from Downpour. Not as much. It's not this big, sprawling open town that you can explore in a non-linear fashion, like in Downpour. And while I do enjoy that kind of exploration in a Silent Hill-esque game, I would not say Downpour necessarily did it right. If you want to know what that would be like if it was done right, what you want to play isn't a Silent Hill game, it's Evil Within 2. That did town exploration really well. But here in Silent Hill 2 Remake, we have just it's more like the dungeons of the game are the big sprawling dungeons, and the town areas in between those have been rejiggered to be more like mini dungeons in their own right.
Yeah, because you have to get a lot of key items in this section of the game in order to progress to the apartment complex. Because in the original, you could just go right to the apartment complex, and the game just says, okay, whatever.
And if you miss something, they just expected you to go back and find it?
Yeah, although after a point, you would hit points of no return where you can't explore previous parts of the town anymore. So you could miss things permanently. Silent Hill 2 was never a non-linear kind of game. Okay, so one of the things that makes the Silent Hill 2 Remake combat system just better all around is the emphasis on dodging out of the way, baiting your opponents into attacks if possible.
Groundbreaking.
Dodging out of the way and smacking them. It's very basic stuff, but the thing about the scenario of Silent Hill 2 is that you're just a guy with a stick, and eventually you're a guy with a stick and a gun. Ooh. You don't have the like
You're not a Bravo team member.
you're not a Bravo team member. Thank God they all died. You're not you're not a military trained special rescue cop. You're not a BSAA agent. You're not any number of other things. You're just a regular dude, right? So you fight using regular dude stuff, you know? You have a stick, and it's a heavy stick, so it doesn't swing very fast. You have to be smart about when you attack, how often you attack, when you get out of the way. And the other thing that makes the combat in this game so much better than the original, I feel, is just that the developers of the remake have been generally smarter about where they place enemies within the environment, because a lot of the enemies in the original, especially in the early game, were just kind of chilling there, you know, in the road, standing there. Run past them if you want. It's not like there's a narrow corridor or anything you need to slip through. Just give them a wide berth and run past them. Eventually they'll stop chasing you. They only shuffle around real slow, so.
It seems like there's no reason really to fight enemies other than to get them out of your way so far, because they don't like drop stuff or anything.
No, they don't in this game. So.
That was always a thing in the original too. Is just like there's no reason to fight unless you just want to fight. A lot of the time, I mean, when you get into places like the apartment, the enemies do take up positions in narrow hallways, and it does get a little bit more complex. But the enemy variety also just isn't all that diverse in Silent Hill 2 to begin with, so even that starts to get a bit stale. The remake makes better and more frequent use of the unique aspects of the enemies that are here. So we're seeing a lot more of the straitjacket women monsters, like under cars, under tables, crawling around on the floor, biting at your ankles with their mouthless body bag heads, I guess. How do they bite at your ankles, now that I think about it?
Well, there's a big zipper there, right? You ever get, like, your zipper caught on you? It hurts.
It's on their back, though. How do they do that? I like how you can break the glass in the supermarket, but the like the cage that they put down over the window is still the. Oh, the bug.
Is that a rat?
That is a
bug.
It's a bug.
Oh
yeah.
shit!
There are these little bug enemies that can nip at your heels. They're not very threatening in the original game because you have a pulled back camera and you can always see them coming at you. But here you can't actually see your ankles, so the bugs that sneak up on you and bite your ankles. Did you just do a samurai swing, slide past slash with a wooden board? It looked like you did that thing where, like, a samurai will slide past an opponent, and it turns out...
While you were studying the horror, I studied the wood.
And like, they'll...
He tries to do that samurai anime thing where he puts the sword in the sheath and then the enemy, like, falls down. Only there's nails there, so it won't
Yeah,
actually
I was going to
fit.
say he figures his nails on the board, so it just clumsily falls to his side.
Here's our main puzzle for the area. We have to get a jukebox working.
He lives in Better Call Saul.
I don't get that joke.
It's a television
It's a
show,
TV.
I think.
I know.
Yeah, television show.
I know what Better Call Saul is. I just don't get that specific joke in reference to it.
I don't either. I've never watched it.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Okay, so this building was an optional location in the original game that you could just find. There was nothing super important here, a few items maybe. But that note that there was a hole here is, I think, another reference to a Stephen King novel.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. It is a reference to a Stephen King novel, however, that got reused as the plot of Silent Hill 4. So, you know. It's weird how most of the interesting stuff in Silent Hill 4 is just pulled from random-ass references in the files and stuff from this game.
So, remind me, like, the Silent Hill 3 and 4 were both not as successful as 2, but they both aren't considered bad games. They're just weirdos.
Well,
That's my understanding. Right?
Silent Hill 3 is generally considered a really good entry in the series because it's just an all-around mechanical upgrade on Silent Hill 2. The only thing that some people like might not like as much about it is that it's very much connected to the Silent Hill 1 story. But for my money, it's a much better game than the original Silent Hill 2. And, it just has a different style of storytelling and more of an emphasis on, its plot and characters, which gives it a much narmier feeling than Silent Hill 2, which is very minimalistic in that area. Silent Hill 2 has an anime bad guy and an anime protagonist and an evil god that needs to be stopped. It's a continuation of Silent Hill 1's cult plotline.
I mean, I wouldn't even say that's so much anime. That's pretty typical, 70s, 80s schlock horror.
It's very anime when you consider the antagonist's acting.
Okay, fair.
And Vincent in particular is a very anime bad guy. But it's good. It's very well done within that space, and I love Heather Mason as a protagonist. She is my favorite character in this goddamn series. But it's a very different style of story than this game is. So, whether Silent Hill 2 hit the critical darling note in the area that it landed on, but it was very much an experiment. It wasn't like what they were trying to do with Silent Hill. So when they got back to what they were trying to do with Silent Hill and it turned out to be something very different, the stories of Silent Hills 3 and 4 did not land as well with the many, many people who were introduced to Silent Hill through 2 rather than 1.
Okay. And I know that 4 is considered weird because, you are in one room and you teleport to different spots or something like that.
Yeah, you crawl through holes in your apartment. It's very strange.
The way James was sliding back and forth, dodging nothing against that enemy, it looked like he was having a dance battle with it. So, okay, these enemies did vomit at you in the original game. You probably wouldn't get hit by it often because it was a fairly well telegraphed attack. It wasn't really designed to give you trouble. It was just a basic vomiting attack that the enemies had in the early game, Here, the way the enemies come at you, the locations you fight them in, and their actual attack patterns, the result is that you are far more likely to get hit by that stupid vomit attack if you're not paying attention. And the main challenge of dealing with the straitjacket women enemies in the early game is trying to whack them a few times, try to bait them into using the vomiting attack, and then slide out of the way and hit them with a couple good whacks while they're still stuck in that animation, And it's a very basic pattern of battle but it's more than the first game did with these enemies, so I'm happy with it. Of course, they tend to come at you in very narrow spaces, so it's not
that's what makes it really annoying, because it's you can't really avoid it sometimes. Sometimes you're just in a narrow hallway and you just can't avoid it.
Yeah, so another one of the things that you have to worry about is positioning. You have to try and get the enemies to a place where you have room to dodge out of the way,
For sure. Unfortunately, this building here is completely optional, and there's nothing really here, so...
This building is too clean.
There are quite a few optional buildings. It's not like the original Silent Hill games didn't have these. It's just that the remake has more of them.
Well, I get the sense that this game wants you to feel lost, so I guess in that sense, having a lot of dead ends does make sense.
So like that, I went a little too hard on the attack, and they...
So the second one that you got hit by, there was definitely wind-up, but the one before that, I feel like there wasn't a lot of wind-up before that attack actually went out.
There was wind-up, but it was happening while he was swinging his weapon. One of the things that's a bit hard to pay enough attention to actually see is that you have to be sure whether or not your enemies are actually being staggered by your attacks, because they aren't always. A lot of the times they will just sort of power through your attack damage to do their animations. So one of the things that I got into the habit of doing in the early game was 1-2 dodge, 1-2 dodge. Never doing the third swing on the combo, because that's the one with the most animation lock to it. So it's the one that you don't want to trigger if you can avoid it, unless you're like damn sure it's gonna land and you're not gonna get punished for it. All of the windows break in this game. I love it.
There's an achievement for breaking enough of them, too.
There is, yes. For as navigationally complex as this version of the game is in the town itself is still laid out the same, which I find kind of impressive.
I think that speaks more to the original's design more than this game, per se.
Well, there's something to be said for taking an existing map and changing the layout of the stuff in that map to make it a different kind of navigational experience. We saw the exact same thing in Resident Evil 2 Remake, where by and large the police station is laid out more or less the same. The only major change to the layout that they made was the lobby has stairs now. Praise the Lord. But like everything is still in basically the same place. And they've added a few bathrooms because the original didn't have that for some reason. But like what makes the navigation play out in a different order is that they placed objects that weren't there before into specific areas. So instead of going directly into the press room from this direction, you would have to go from a different direction because there's a filing cabinet blocking this hallway or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I oversimplified that, but the upshot is that Resident Evil 2's police station is a much different navigational experience in the remake than in the original. And it's due to some ostensibly lightweight modifications to the stuff within it.
It still makes no goddamn sense, but hey, there you go.
Yeah. Here in Silent Hill 2, stuff doesn't have to make sense. If it's insane, that's the point. Mind over matter. Or something.
It's spooky.
Someone spent a lot of money in this pharmacy.
Before leaving, yes.
I doubt health insurance is great in Silent Hill, so, not surprising.
I mean, it's America, so no, not great. I forget what state Silent Hill is in. I just know that the town it's Maine, isn't it? I think it's
yes.
Maine. Yeah, okay.
Because Maine is just only good for being haunted, apparently.
As someone from New England, I can confirm that is true. Maine is a godless shithole that you never want to go into if you can avoid it.
I mean, I'd say it was a Stephen King thing, but also Casper, the Casper movie is in Maine too.
Oh, I did not know that Casper the Friendly Ghost was set in Maine. That's
specifically, I don't know about Casper as a larger franchise, but the movie, the actual good movie, not the other movies, was set in Maine, I'm pretty sure. Friendship, Maine, I think it was.
Friendship?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I watched it. I think you're talking about the 94, 95 movie,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the original Casper that old?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, the movie, anyway. The Casper character's been going since the 60s, I want to say.
Yeah.
I always forget that he was an older character that they then made an adaptation movie on. I always thought that as a kid, the world revolves around yourself. That, if this movie is the one that I saw first, that means it's the first movie about the character.
I think that movie was the one that gave him uncles. I don't know.
The Ghostly Trio. I want to say it was the movie that did that for maybe. I want to say if it wasn't the movie, they were at least just recently established. But yeah, that movie did take place in Friendship, Maine.
You know, it's way better of a place to hang out than Bitter Rivalries, Oregon. So, you know.
Or Slaughter Beach, New Jersey, I guess.
Isn't that every town in New Jersey?
You're
Or every town on the coast, I guess I should be fair.
You're not wrong. The traffic patterns in Neptune are... I would call that Slaughter Beach. It's like I was delivering packages in Neptune, one of the coastal towns here in Jersey, and like they have this whole area that's just a grid work of narrow one-way roads in between parallel parking spaces. And of course, it's a beach town, so all the parking spaces are always full. So you have to sort of crawl through each of them really carefully because you've got just barely enough room to fit a car. And
okay, so here's a fun mini game you could play. All right, it's called High School Poetry or Silent Hill, where you take little bits of flavor text from Silent Hill and you give it to someone, and they have to guess whether or not it's somebody's high school poetry attempt or if it's just flavor text from Silent Hill. Because I've been looking at a lot of these and like with the weird spacing and whatnot going on. Oh, his hand's bloody. Ew.
It's actually black. Good,
Oh.
So
it's like... So, what the heck was going on there?
we will never find out.
I don't know, because that's a completely new moment, I think. That was not in the original game.
I don't know why that would freak him out so much, considering literally everything else that's been going on.
It's less freak him out, it's more just confusing him.
Well, nothing seems to freak James Sunderland out. He is, like
I said, he has no survival instinct.
He's like, one of the things about this game, both the remake and the original, is that James Sunderland sort of goes through it in a daze. He doesn't really react to things the way he should be reacting to them. He's kind of out of it the entire time. It's like he doesn't have the emotional energy to have a strong reaction anymore. And that contributes to the feeling of the game being a kind of fever dream, you know?
Yes, past me. There is something in here you need to find. This is the part of the game I'm the most lost in because there's like no real puzzle to solve. It's just find stuff.
Now, one of the things about this game is that, like in a lot of horror games, you can turn a lot of the intrusive heads-up display stuff off. And I turned off item indicators because they they're kind of video gamey and they mess with the mood, in my opinion. The thing about that is that you don't need the item location indicators to find things, because James will always look at things that he finds interesting. So just watch where his head is pointing. And
I don't know if I would have noticed that without you mentioning it.
Yeah, that's the end of that chonker of a part. So we'll see you in part 3 of Silent Hill 2. Later.